Namaste to all. Myself, C. Abhay Chhajer, Central Council Member, Vice Chairman of Professional Skill Enrichment Committee. Welcome all of you for this very important podcast which we have today. And none other than we have the legend, I would say the founder, chairman, C. Nirmal Jain ji of IAFL, sir. Thank you so much for joining, sir. Truly an honor and privilege for me to have you here today under the Professional Skill Enrichment Committee. Number of initiatives we have taken, a lot of podcasts we have done. But I think today is the day when we have your time. Out of the busy schedule, you have given us time to have this podcast. And I think this would truly be encouraging for members, students all across India, not just India, I would say global. So thank you so much, Nirmal Bhai, for joining. And I think your journey is remarkable. I know, born in the year 1967 and then doing graduation from NM and then from IIM Ahmedabad and then doing very important course for all of us, being a member of Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. So thank you, sir, for once again for joining. Just to share, I think your journey has been remarkable, I said. So usme, sir, what brings Chartered Accountant to building one of the India's leading financial service groups? You started as a CA and now being a leading services group as a Chartered Accountant. So I think members, students would like to know, everybody would like to know आपकी journey. थोड़ा सा बताएंगे तो it'll be good for them, encouraging, especially for young members who are looking up to you, looking as a mentor and looking up to the journey which was remarkable starting in 1995, going forward till today.
Thank you, Abhay. And it's always a great pleasure to be with our CA community, students as well as fellow members. Just a technical correction. I was born in December 66 and not 67.
Okay.
My journey has been good in a way. I've been so academically, as you're aware, those days I could do CA along with my BCom. So I probably did all my CA along with BCom by the age of 20, and then I did MBA from IIM Ahmedabad, and along with that I also completed my cost accounting. So there was a good foundation of academic and a technical knowledge, and then I worked with Hindustan Lever for about 5 years, which was again a great experience to see a large corporate, how they can be entrepreneurial in culture. And although owned by, in those days, by British parent, but still they were so Indian in terms of their approach, so local, and such a wonderful environment to work and learn. And after that, I started a research firm, Inquire, which was part of Motilal Oswal along with Motilal ji and Ramdev, which was again a great experience because jumping from a large corporate to an absolute street smart broker. And in those days also, they wanted to set up research. The research was very less heard of.
Okay.
And then I started my own journey in 1995. So from then till now is almost 30 years. And in 30 years, if you walk in any field or, as long as you don't walk backward,
Correct.
You'll come a long way.
Right.
Even if you make mistakes, you walk slowly, but still, we remain focused on financial services. And these 30 years have been wonderful for India because India has grown dramatically. If you remember in 91, when Manmohan Singh ji's reform started, and that changed the landscape for Indian financial markets and the financial services in India.
Right.
So in a way, I was fortunate to be at the right place at the right time. In financial services industry, at the cusp of revolutionary changes that were happening. So we started as a research firm. Then internet basically came, which was not much known when I became an entrepreneur. That gave us another, wings to fly, and we were fortunate to get into .com, IndiaInfoline.com, and then internet-based broking, and from a retail broking to institutional broking, investment banking, wealth management. So we remained focused on financial services, which was our core, and kept expanding within that. And I think this is where we have come to.
So I think, sir, you mentioned, a journey and research. Research, I think, is one of the key areas. Still now is very important, even from the government point of view, from institute point of view or otherwise. But I believe if you talk about academics, I think that is one thing was so strong in you. I think, and that made you to, do all these courses together and you have reached this position. Everybody would like to know what skill you have, additional skill, not just for the academic, but to become an entrepreneur. What extra skill you would like members to know, this must be possessed, to become a good entrepreneur. So
there are different types of entrepreneurs and they have different sets of skills. So first of all, I just want to caution that this is not the only way to become a successful entrepreneur. There are many more successful entrepreneurs much bigger successes, and they can also probably help. And there are many things I might not have done correct, which they can probably guide. But
True.
at the end of the day, what I learned,
Correct.
and like in cricket, everybody plays differently. There can be people like defensive, like Dravid also and Kapil also, and both can be successful. So whatever I'm saying is my experience, not necessarily the solution to become a good entrepreneur. So first about an entrepreneurship is ability to take risk. Because when I started this journey, and for first 6-7 years, it was very difficult to know whether I'll survive or not. Forget about being successful. So as an entrepreneur, I think the first requirement is that you should have ability to take risk. Many times there are many people who want to have the security of a job as well as the reward of entrepreneurship. So that becomes a little difficult. Second is remaining focused, because many times I've seen that many very otherwise brilliant people, they start on one journey and they find some difficulty, they switch, and then they switch, and then maybe they think that something else is more looks better, greener pasture on the other side.
Right.
So I think that also, to my mind, will not be a great trait to focus or to basically to have to become an entrepreneur.
Right.
Other than that, that this is a success in life. Forget about entrepreneurship, which I say 3H, which is hard work, humility, and honesty. So whatever you do, if you are working hard, obviously there are odds are in favor of you to be successful. Humility is very important, primarily because whatever you try, things will turn out difficult and uncertain, because you really can't forecast or can't, you don't have a crystal ball to know what will happen tomorrow. And if you're adaptable, so you have some belief that this is right and this is how I want to do it, and the result is not according to that, can you course correct? Can you basically step back and say, oh, this was a mistake, I change it? So whether it's the business model or your team, or whether what you think about competition, about environment, about regulators. So humility is very important to basically, primarily to, I've seen people who are very good, but they become intellectually arrogant because they think that whatever they thought about is the right way to do it.
Correct.
And they keep defending, and that basically, goes not to the path of great success. The third is honesty. Now it's an internet era much more than is very, very, where everybody can search on Google, ChatGPT, and everything.
Correct.
And our world is of a compliance and integrity. So a slightest dot on that or a stigma on that can destroy your future career. It's difficult to recover from anything which is. So I would say that don't try and have the shortcut to, get things done faster. When I became CA 30 years ago, CA profession was viewed with a bit of a mixed this bag, because many times CAs were perceived to be people who can, fix numbers, adjust things, or get things done. That has changed a lot.
Correct.
The world has changed.
Right.
The kind of, you can do something and change your track in those days was easier, but it's no longer. So I would say it's become it was always important.
Right.
Since time, for hundreds of years, we can see the stories of that. But now, in a very transparent era of internet, is like absolutely unforgivable.
Right.
And therefore, there's something that you should never compromise upon.
Correct.
And other than that, there are many skills which are, communication is one, for sure. Because, you have good thought, good ideas, that is one part of it. If you're not able to convince other people, if you're not able to respect the emotions of other people, which may be different from yours, or their desires and expectations. So when you work with team, and particularly talented team, then everybody has ego, everybody has, or you can say confidence, or belief in whatever their thoughts are. So to navigate that and making sure that the team works together is always a very, very important task that an entrepreneur. So entrepreneur has to be the most humble person.
Correct.
To listen to everybody, whatever they want to say, and still get a consensus or get a way forward. And last but not least, you have to be decisive. Many times there are difficult calls. So you can't do if, then, but, he said what, So basically you have to decide and move forward. Otherwise the whole organization will be in limbo. Even the right decision not taken in time will be much worse than a wrong decision taken in time, because as I said, you can always course correct and fix it.
Correct.
But if you don't decide, then it's certain failure.
Right. No, absolutely. I think, sir, very rightly said. And especially I would say for young chartered accountants, when you talk about focused, you talk about risk. Of course, risk is very important sector, or I would say part of an entrepreneur to grow and to become a good entrepreneur or become a good leader. But definitely, I think what you said is focused. That is one important area. You spoke about, the humbleness, and I think that's what we see in you. And that's what is something to learn for our members and students, that if you have to be a leader, you have to grow, then definitely humble and honesty is one thing which always be there with you in throughout the life. And I think that's what is being inculcated in you, and that's what I'm sure as a leader your team also will be following the same path and is following. And I think that's one reason the growth which we can see in IFL and the entire group, where you being the founder and the chairman. Sir, you mentioned about the leadership and team building, sir, more about the development of a team. So how do you encourage innovation, critical thinking, and ethical decision making within your team? Like if you work as a team, then there are a lot of ethical, sometimes there are challenges, decision making as a challenge. So how do you encourage within the team?
Yeah, well, you see, these are three different things. So innovation and critical thinking maybe, and we can take ethical things separately. So on ethical and integrity, you have to set the culture and the tone from the top. There's no compromise, no questions to be asked in case of unethical conduct. You have to let the person go.
Correct.
Because culture is something which is like contagious. It can spread. So
Right.
when you have one rotten mango, it can spoil the entire this bag, and you just cannot allow. So we have had cases where people have been there for a long time, maybe 10 years, 15 years working with us. They've been contributing significantly to the company's profitability. And a small ethical misconduct, it could be as small as a petty cash voucher, whatever.
Correct.
But if it's caught, then there's no pardon. The person has to go.
Right.
So then that sets the culture and the tone for everybody. And you're very, very careful to set it from the top. Because as a promoter, as an entrepreneur, if you do something which is unethical, the people will see more and understand more from your behavior rather than what you preach. So that is very, very important. Then innovation and critical thinking, I think what it requires is open communication. People should be allowed to speak and make mistakes. So as long as you don't penalize mistakes made in good faith,
Right.
allow people to speak. Sometimes the ideas may look ridiculous on the face of it, but they can have something which is really innovative, critical. Then the culture is developed.
I think absolutely a very important part you mentioned, both about the ethical and decision making, and you have to communicate even if you make mistake. I think that's where the learning is, and that's what a true leader is, when you make mistakes and then the leader tell you what mistake you've done, even if it's ethically done with good intentions. I think that is what is important, sir. And I think, sir, you mentioned about technology. I think, you talk about transparency in technology, which has now become a key. Now, we at ICAI also have been initiated a committee which is called Committee on AI. That's AI, that is artificial intelligence, blockchain, and various other technology-driven initiatives. So what, technology, I would say, or AI-driven, or the initiative within the group from your side, which you have taken, which is important, I would say, as a skill for all your team members, that they should possess this minimum skill to understand the technology well, and if they want to perform, I think that minimum should be required with them. So anything which you have thought on this part and then you have initiated within the organization?
I think technology is very important. When I was doing my articles, we used to manually tally the balance sheet.
Correct.
Or maybe you used to have a small printer in which you can put the numbers and check one by one. So
yes.
From there, the world has come a long, long way. Unimaginable, incredible, and the pace at which it's changing is even more. So mobile was one revolution. Before that, internet was another. And now AI is the third, much bigger revolution that is happening. So technology has been changing very rapidly in our lifetime. It has changed dramatically and will continue to change. And so our curriculum, as well as the examination and the training, they also have to change at the same pace.
Correct.
And I think it's not easy. But if CA wants to remain as the really top coveted profession, something which really people look up to, then they have to have keep pace with this. So this will require certain younger people, tech-savvy people in the committee, which basically decides the academic curriculum and examination and the training programs. The younger people will be automatically on their own, naturally curious to learn and into this.
Yes.
So I think it's very one has to change rapidly in the sense, like supposing to think about it, And the examination, which has been rote learning, I'm just giving a brainstorming, not that something which is like, you do it.
Yes.
And now you can make it open book where people can come with the computers, laptop or whatever and have access to everything and then they reply. Now you have to set your examination in a way.
Correct.
Like, when I did my IIM, they will have a case studies which are different. So even if you have open book, there used to be open book exams. So you can take all the books in the world, but you don't know where to look for.
Right.
So I think we have to move quickly, understanding that what is something that technology can give, which we don't have to make people do the rote learning, mug up and, put it in the examination paper. And it requires really. So what will happen is that if the people are a little older of my age or they'll not be able to digest and understand that, the curriculum has to change. So it's a very dramatic step. And it requires a lot of younger people to come in and just, take a completely fresh look at the way we teach and we take exams.
Right. No, absolutely.
And then we train.
Yes, you rightly mentioned, and the curriculum has changed. Like, every decade we used to change our curriculum, but this is the first time after 2017, 2023, we changed the entire syllabus just to meet the global practices, best practices, and adapt to those practices by our students who are now giving the exam. So 3 years of articles, in fact, 4 years of articles, reduced to 3, and now it is 2 years of articles with having education and training completely separate. So education is not within the training. It's only 2 years of complete training, no exam between articleship. And then you have your papers. After you complete 2 years, leave the office under the principal you're working and then give the exam. So if number of papers reduced, the exams have increased, 3 exams in a year. And now, like you mentioned, case study based, we have open book 1 exam and final, which is the multidisciplinary exam where they take the books. There's an open book. It's a complete case study. Of course, there are a lot of changes still happening. So, like very rightly said, sir. Sir, I would say as a leader, as an entrepreneur, you've been doing so well. But on the personal growth, if you talk about outside finance, which personal skill, like we being in the professional skill enrichment committee, we look up to all or an overall development of skills. So personal skill also is one very important. So how do you look at your personal skills outside the finance? So how do you manage, the family, your relationship, and as a personal skill, what things best you look at that members or students should possess to, be like you said, a good human being humble and definitely be a good leader?
See, many of these things are, innate or family cultured. So,
right,
it's very difficult to comment on this. I mean, it goes without saying that if you're humble, nice, you build relationships. So there's some people who are very charming. There's some people who are still very impressive. So it's very difficult to get into, this kind of, this thing that whether can you really, so maybe the personal skill that you're talking about, family relationships, they're very different. Your competence in terms of knowing few more things like, say, technology is different. But I would say that, one thing which is that one has to balance work life, because see what happens, the CA examination rigor is so much that people start working hard, and
Correct.
I appreciate that. And I also said that we have to work hard.
Yes.
But even then, to have time for family and time for some passion and certain other things is equally important to make
Right.
and that basically will sharpen your focus as well as your judgment, not just the numbers. So from the balance sheet, from the analyst, you'll get the numbers, but then you have to have a judgment which requires many more skills in your mental faculty. So people have to have a balance, travel, meet people, and understand each other's perspective. I think these are things that one should practice.
No, absolutely. I think, and that is what everybody is looking up to you, because that's the balance you've maintained at the personal front, as well as at the leadership or as a professional front, being a businessman, being a professional, being I think a wonderful father, I'm sure, taking care of the 3 children, 2 daughters and 1 son. So, sir, what advice would you give to young professionals on balancing continuous upskilling with gaining practical business exposure? So anything you would like to give to young chartered accountants in terms of upskilling, or any specific area they should look up to always? Or because, when we say we are a chartered accountants, we are CAs for life. We learn each day. So what skill you find which is missing, or when you deal or interact with young chartered accountants, so they should at least, possess this minimum skill, or they should keep upskilling themselves to meet to the expectation of, I would say, to the society, to the stakeholders, and even to the government? So,
No, good question. And I think one is that you should always be hungry for knowledge and learning.
right.
Because as I think Sanjeev, somebody said it very nicely that the day I stop learning, I think my existence on this earth has no more meaning, is over now. So
correct.
basically, you have to keep learning, you have to be hungry for knowledge and learning from various, whatever is relevant from people, from reading, from listening, documentaries, movies, everything. So the desire to learn is very, very important. And then a little bit of focus that what are the areas that I want to learn. Because you cannot learn everything.
Correct.
So these are important things. And if you do that, then I'm sure. And then now, if you have a desire to learn, anything that you want to learn, with technology, so many tools are available, so many people are easily accessible.
Right.
So that can be done.
No, absolutely. I think you rightly mentioned that desire to learn. And I think that is where sometimes it gets missed and you have to achieve something, but you don't have the desire. I think that's where you miss
hunger to learn and hunger for knowledge. It's very important.
Absolutely, yeah. So finally, sir, it's been a wonderful journey of yours. What you have discussed, the way, the personal front, your academics, and then your journey with the Unilever, and then with research work, and then finally the founder and chairman of IFL. So one last message, sir, for our members, students, on skills, or any message which you like to give them, so that it gives or helps them to inculcate during their journey.
So I think be optimistic but open. So I think the future in India is very bright, but that doesn't mean that every day will come with with a bouquet of roses, and there may be setbacks, but you should have a long-term confidence in your own abilities as well as the opportunities, and so you can take the smaller setbacks in stride and keep moving forward, but be optimistic and and keep working towards your goal.
Absolutely, sir. So once again, thank you so much, sir, for being here, giving your time, and it was truly an honor and privilege for me to interview you and get to know about your remarkable journey. It was a pleasure, and thank you from ICAI, sir. It was always a privilege, and hope to have more such interaction with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.